whoever is here, welcome to our interview with Sean today. And thank you, Sean, for joining me today because we're talking about some important things today. I'm sure it's been on the minds of quite a few people. The subject that we're going to talk about, especially with what everything that has been happening, with coronavirus. There's a lot of questions going on people's minds, and the reason I asked you to come on today, you're not just anyone. You're not just a random person that I asked to join online. We've known each other for quite a few years, and you've actually helped me to get insurance cover. When I was myself, I'm not shy to say it, quite a lost cause. I was having so much problem finding insurance cover because I have a lot of medical problem, and I simply couldn't find a cover for me. And you helped me. You were very patient. You found the best deal for me, and I thought it's very important to deal with the right people who have your best interest at heart. And I think you're the perfect person for that, Sean. And I think people would be interested to know maybe how you got into it, why. Sure. Maybe before that, I will mention that we were working into the health and fitness industry, more fitness on my end, but health and wellness together in the same industry. Somehow our path crossed. If you remember, Sean, how many years ago was it?
6 years ago now.
6 years ago.
Crazy, yeah. It's gone so quick.
So this is how we met. So we were both very much focused on health and wellness. This is the first. This was the first passion, I guess. And then slightly our work has changed, but it's always stayed into the picture. I personally have brought a lot of it back with everything happening. I'm much more active with the prevention in the current climate. So, Sean, over to you. Tell our viewers and our listeners how you got into doing what you do today.
No problem at all. Well, I mean, it's literally following on from when we first met, which was when we were both involved in the health and wellness industry, sort of really targeting people with obesity, wasn't it, at that stage where, people were focusing more on their health and their well-being, and which has evolved massively over the last few years into not just physical, but also mental. But by chance, literally just over 5 years ago, I was expecting my second daughter. Not me personally, my partner, obviously. And it was at that point of, reaching a milestone of age and having, a daughter anyway, and then expecting a second daughter, was I've got no financial protection. And it was at that point that I was actually going out and looking to find the best possible financial life insurance package for me, to include some other benefits as well. To cut a long story short, I found a company that gave me rewards and benefits linked to my health and well-being, gave me the right level of cover at an affordable rate as well, and just gave me peace of mind, basically. Then I just realized how many more people needed to know about this life insurance. And, the health and wellness business that we're in sort of went through on a bit of a decline, didn't it? So I was looking for a new opportunity. Been in sales and marketing for a long time, over 25 years, which started in financial services in the early 90s. So yeah, I literally bought this policy, and then the person I bought the policy from says, we're looking for people like you to help spread the word and advise and sell it. So I went through the whole process, 4 days of training, subsequently went on and got the RO5 financial protection diploma. And then for the last 5 years, that is what I've been doing. I've been talking to individuals like you, businesses, companies, about, as a whole, financial protection. It's not just about life insurance. It's about protecting the one thing which most people don't think about. They'll insure the mobile phone, the TV, But the one thing which
And they
matters
don't
most,
insure themselves and protect the life or
yeah,
protect their family.
absolutely, absolutely, and that's always been my advice. Is but, even down to ensuring your income against something happening. And I think we've all been witness in the last 4 weeks how quickly life changes. And despite over the last 5 years me saying that to people, they're going, yeah, 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 no, it won't happen to me. I'm fine. I'm invincible. I'm immortal. Nothing's ever going to happen to me. Then lo and behold, woof, it's been proven.
But the reason you're here today is because it's never too late, right, Sean?
Never, 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 never too late. Never too
Never
late.
too late to make those changes. I was talking
Yeah.
to a financial planner friend of mine, and we were having exactly the same conversation where everything is turned upside down right now, but it's never too late to put things right now. And same thing with health. We hear a lot of people reminding, a lot of influencers reminding everyone that it's never too late to take the right steps to make changes in the right direction, right?
No, absolutely not. I mean, we're on this journey of life. We're probably in our 20s, we're enjoying ourselves, and then we hit a certain point where we might meet someone, get married, and have children, buy a house. That is when, all through that span of our life, there's times when we're going to need or could seriously consider having life insurance. But for those in the younger years, there's financial protection for income protection. If you're off work for sick for a long period of time, but yeah, you're right. There's that whole journey of life that at any point, even to the extent of towards end of life, there's still policies there to help leave money for loved ones, etc. So there's it's a
And
whole journey.
it's not something that we don't really want to think about all those things. There's a mental block, I guess, in for most people. But for example, in my personal environment, we had a lot of family illness, and that just brings it back home, where you think, well, I actually have to plan things. Planning is the word.
Yeah,
Prepare, planning, just in case,
yeah,
because it's not just about you or the person. It's about everyone else left behind, or
yeah.
what happens if, isn't it?
I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Is that it's a lot of people have got this thing like, if I'm going to pay £10, £20 every single month, I'm not going to see it. What's the point? This is just money going out the door. But when you turn it around, for example, life insurance is not for you. It's for the people that you leave behind, and that's a kind of sense of responsibility, especially when you've got a family and you may have a hefty mortgage. And believe it or not, I talk to people a lot, and they don't have any protection against their mortgage, and they've got a family. So that's scary times. And a lot of people do have their ducks in a row, but there's a lot of people out there that don't, and life goes on and we kind of forget about it. But you're absolutely right. It's not for you. It's for those
For the
that you leave
people
behind.
we leave
Yeah,
behind.
yeah.
So in terms of protection, what is it that you can help people get? So what sorts of protection can you source for them?
It's quite a spectrum. I mean, I'm just going to give you an overview today. I won't go into too much detail because each individual person is obviously got their own outlook and their own adversity to risk, etc. Number one, obviously, life insurance is quite affordable even now throughout this whole outbreak. It's affordable, and it's really about, do you have a mortgage? Have you got a family, a wife, partner that you would like to leave some money behind to if something should happen unexpectedly? The other one that sits alongside that, something called serious illness cover. What a lot of people don't consider is that you're more likely to contract a serious illness or critical illness in the event of dying, and it's the one insurance cover people don't have. So in the event of anyone unfortunately experiencing cancer, which most people will survive from, heart attacks, strokes, accidents at work which could leave them seriously ill, etc. And then income protection, I think, is probably the most popular one right now, and it blew
Correct.
up
Yes.
When the coronavirus, sort of came around, everybody said, "What about income protection? Am I protected?" And that is there to protect the number one source is the income. If you have an accident from work or you're off sick for a long period of time. So that's really the three core insurances that I do recommend upon. But then I can also recommend on private medical insurance.
Yes.
For those that don't want the long waits on the NHS and which is affordable, so it can be
And
less.
those private medical insurance can be quite helpful for people who already have existing medical problem to bypass,
Yeah,
like you say, the waiting time and to get yes to get all those additional services that you don't get on the NHS as well, isn't
yeah.
it?
It's all about speed as well with private medical. It's about, for example, if I wanted to, I could ring up a GP on my phone.
Yes, so tell us about this. When we had a chat earlier,
Yeah,
that's a really, really good feature for people to have, especially nowadays. I know, I mean, the NHS is absolutely amazing. I personally
oh yeah,
tested out their 111 and the whole system. So I've been from A to Z, and they're doing a fabulous work. But it's also very handy to have a private GP on call on a mobile. And how do they get this, and how does it work?
Okay, there's one company that specifically springs to mind. There are others out there that are providing it now, in the wake of what's happened. But with Vitality Health Insurance, for example, that's just one company that I deal with. They have the unlimited calls to a GP as part of the package, which is, you get an appointment within 24 hours, and you can actually talk to them via video phone. So they can actually see you. Obviously, they can't do any tests or anything, but if it's an ailment to your skin, blotchy, or I've had friends where they may have had a suspect mole, and they can send out a camera within 24 hours, get your partner to take a picture of it and upload it to Vitality, and they can see it straight
Yes.
away.
I,
So
a
yeah,
lot, yes,
it's that
it's
exceptional.
it's quite amazing. And a lot of the times it's reassuring. It's peace of mind to have this
Yeah,
at hand.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
stress, as we all know, stress plays a big factor in well-being.
Yeah,
So if you have everything that you need ready as a backup or as a safety net, you feel
yeah,
less stressed, more happy, and therefore more able to be fitter and healthier. It's all
yeah.
a circle, isn't it, Sean? Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. On the medical side, it's a treatment path. So if it is just a voice that you want to talk to, I mean, they do have something where they help with your mental well-being, with counselling as well as all part of the package. You choose what variable of package you want depending on what your affordability is, and then I can help select the right company for your needs and your budget and what's important to you.
So
Um,
that's one of the questions that I have here. So
yeah.
how much does it cost to get life insurance?
Well, that depends on the number of factors. Number one, your age. Okay, the older you are, the more expensive it's going to be, I'm afraid. That's just just the way it is. Previous health conditions, if there's been a number of health conditions previously which you've had, that could go and put the premium up as well. The amount of cover you need, so whether it be £100,000, £500,000, £1,000,000 worth of cover, whatever it is you need, depends on how much it will cost and how long you want it for. So, for example, if you're 30 years old, you can be covered for 10 years if you wanted to, but just bear in mind in 10 years' time it will cost even more. So it could start from as little as £10 a month. I mean, life insurance is relatively cheap.
£10 a month is really affordable.
You can get it less, it depends how much you want. I mean, for about 100k, someone who's about 30 years old will probably get it for less than £10 a month at the moment.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And does it cover with the current situation, Sean? That's a big question.
Yeah, that's my phone. Am I covered for coronavirus? That's the number one call that I had from the clients that I've got, and in some cases from the existing policies, yes. Any new policy that I write, they may well put in special terms and conditions to say, if you do get coronavirus, we may not pay out. It all depends on the companies. They're all varying. So, for example, on income protection, they've all changed their terms from paying out after 2 weeks to not paying out to after 3 months, because they know that if you do get coronavirus and you recover, then you're going to be out within sort of a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Yes.
So
So
yes, some will, some won't.
it really varies. Depends on the insurance
Yeah.
provider. It depends on if they have already changed their terms and adapted to the situation. But you can check all that for everyone, isn't it? You can find out.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something which isn't going to go away very quickly. Obviously, we're coming into the summer months, and they're expecting a decline in the number of cases rapidly. But come winter again, I expect that the virus could be back until we get a vaccination against it. But until such time, it's important to also state that you've got to disclose full health information on an application. Previous, you must disclose everything that you want that you've possibly happened to you.
Yes, and just for the viewers and listeners, I want to share again that you helped me with my my life cover, my life insurance, and it wasn't it wasn't an easy task, because I do have a lot of medical history, and I came to you because I couldn't renew the life insurance that I had with my existing provider. They simply refused to renew my insurance policy, and I was really stuck. I couldn't find anyone who would cover me, and you managed to find I think it was a couple of options, and we narrowed it down to what was best for me, and it's still very affordable. So it is possible. there's no lost cause out there. There's always a way. Probably one thing that is worth mentioning, we talked about this as well, Sean, the waiting time to get the paperwork and the whole process done might take a little bit longer than usual.
If there's some of the companies now are asking for GP reports. So you can imagine, the whole process. I think when we applied for yours, I think the GP process was, a couple of months, wasn't it? It was quite laborious and long. But in this current state, any new application that does get deferred for a GP report, or referred for a GP report, may take just a little bit longer, just purely because of the situation we're in at the moment. But generally, provided we disclose all the information, past history, conditions to relatives as well, sometimes comes into account. Provided there's nothing to report, an application will be online and live within minutes.
And above all, be truthful. There's always a way to find the right cover, but to disclose everything is very important. If not, what could happen, Sean?
It won't pay out, and that's when you generally see on adverts. I'm inundated on Facebook at the moment with ads for life insurance. They're everywhere. They're all jumping on it. Life insurance. And I read the comments underneath, and the majority of people say it's a con. It'll never pay out, because they read it in the press. And the reason why it doesn't pay out is because people do not disclose the whole information which they're asked for. They've put some false information on, not disclosed everything. And that is the only reason it will never pay out.
And yes, that will never pay out.
If you've hidden a major factor of your health from the past, and you unfortunately something happens to you, there could be challenges. And and there are certain elements where they won't pay out, which I can discuss at any point if somebody wants to discuss those.
So we talked about life cover. We talked about income protection. What other cover can you help people get, Sean?
Something which is coming quite apparent at the moment is over 50s life insurance, or a whole of life plan, which is really taking you right up to a unlimited time. So you will be covered until the day that you die. I hate to say it that way. I'll be quite straight with you, but and then there's obviously funeral plans as well. which is quite something at the moment. The cost of a funeral in the UK averages about £4,500, £5,000. Not a nice thing to discuss, but it's just that peace of mind. And I've got a network of people around me that I can refer you to for funeral plans, will writing, which I think is important.
Yes.
Just get everything in order.
That's another thing that I was left in. We, with my sister, were left in a very tricky situation where we didn't know what we were meant to do, because there was no will in terms of preparation for the funeral. I mean, those simple little things that we don't necessarily think every day, but if they're black and white, written, prepared, it just puts everyone at ease, and it's so much easier. I don't know if you've ever heard some of your clients in similar situation or stories.
Absolutely, I know will writers within my network, and some of the stories that they've shared at networking events in the past of families inherited 1.5 million, for example, and they were not prepared for the inheritance tax, which they have to pay first before the can be released, and then there becomes the arguments of what's theirs and who's, it becomes a real mess. And just for a will can vary from off the shelf for a few £40-50 to a well written, well prepared will. That's not something I do personally. I would just recommend people, but it's important for me to say that any life insurance policy I put into trust. Okay, so what that means is that in the event of anything happening to you, you designate who that money will go to. So without any delay, with speed, been in trust, it will go to that person that's designated on the trust.
I'm just checking what else we have to cover. So, is there anything else that I missed, Sean, that is important to share?
I think it's just important to. I think we've got the message across about the importance of financial protection, and the recent events have made a lot of people aware of how fragile as a community we are, from not only our health perspective, but also from a financial perspective.
And that it's never too late. It's never too late to change the way you have set up everything, or to subscribe to a policy. It's never too late. And Sean is here. He's helped me a lot. And I'm sure you can help our viewers and listeners. There's no how does it work, Sean? If they want to find out a little bit more, do they have to commit straight away? How does it work?
There's no commitment. I mean, the whole process for me is I undertake something called a fact find. I mean, first of all, I share the information which is relevant to my industry, and I'm regulated by the FCA, so I will share with you income disclosure on how I get paid, where you would go if you were not happy with the advice you received, and who I represent at the end of the day. Then the whole process is if you want me to do a relative quote, I just have to do a brief fact find. It's all secure. It's not shared with anyone. I'm protected by the Data Protection Act as well, so I'm not going to be saying to your sister and your brother, so and so's, did you know they got this and they got that? That's not going to happen. So you get a secure fact find completed. Then we just run some quotes. So I would give you some advice and say, you're in a £500,000 house. You've got no life protection. You need to get the mortgage secured. You've got 2 children, which are 5 and 6. You're going to be financially responsible for them for about another 15 years. Think about the impact should anything happen to you in this timeline.
And I think it's important to highlight that it doesn't only apply to people who have mortgage, but renters as well. Yep. It's open to everyone.
Self-employed business owners. There's some policies out there which will help from a business perspective, business protection side of things. It's down to the individual, and that's up to me, and that's what the fact finder's for, to find out, your details, look at the picture, make some suggestions, run away, do some quotes, send some quotes back, and then go through, sort of like narrow them down to about 3 providers. And from those 3 providers, we can say, this is probably your best route, because there's providers there which will give you something back whilst you're in an insurance policy, because a lot of people don't like the thought of having this protection in place and not getting anything back. Whereas, you know, and it's like, you know, we will find a solution for your individual circumstances. And
How many companies do you work with roughly, Sean?
lose count. It's 20 plus, I think, 20 plus
20
different,
plus.
20 plus providers. And, you know, ideally it does come down to price. And what I recommend to you today may not be affordable, but get something. Having something is better than having nothing in place.
Yes,
So
and it's never too late.
it's never too late. That's the motto for today, that it's never too late to, you know, get yourself covered and insured. But just, you know, I think we've shared that it's down to timelines in your life or where you are. So something may not be applicable now, but it may be applicable later on. So it's about a long-term relationship as well.
Of course.
Yep.
Sean, if people want to get in touch with you, I believe we've shared your contact details. I will put them again below underneath this video. And yes, they can get in touch with you or with myself, either ways. And don't think twice. Don't think twice, even if it's to get a quote and do a fact find. Like Sean mentioned, don't hesitate, check it out. It won't cost you anything at all. You've got plenty of time to do that. Look into it. It's definitely worth it. Sean, I thank you so much for joining us today and spending some time with our viewers and listeners to inform them of what options there are out there. If you do have more questions for Sean, please do message them either here on CCGM Consulting Limited or directly to Sean. If you have questions you didn't think of asking today, it's never too late to drop us some questions. Sean, any last words?
No, I mean, if there's anything, I do have my own Facebook page as well, where you can contact me on Messenger. So if you just want to keep it that way, telephone call, and I'm available more or less 24/7. More or less.
Aren't we all, more than ever?
It's been self-employed, you have to be. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm here to answer any questions, and there's no obligation whatsoever. It's just here for free advice at the end of the day.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you everyone for listening, watching, and following us. Please like, comment, and share this video if you find it useful. And keep watching for our next interview or our next live. Happy weekend, everyone. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Stay safe, everyone. Take care.